One year we went to a club for my best friend's birthday. However, before I went into the club, I already knew that most of my friends were already inside the club, but with my high anxiety, I don't really like going into the place unless one of my friends meets me at the front door. Because, what if I go into the club and my friends are all the way in the back, but I don't know, and I'm just standing there in the middle, looking for them awkwardly? Or, what if I'm just standing there looking for them and a random person comes up to me and says, "Hey, do you need some help?" No, don't talk to me. I mean, I don't need any help. I'm good, thank you. But my friend Mary texted me saying, "Oh, it's okay, you can just come in." And that was when I realized my best friend wasn't even at the club yet. So I decided to stand on the corner of the street waiting for her, while I proceeded to stare into people's souls while telepathically telling them not to come towards me or talk to me, because all I want is to be left alone. And that was when my friend finally arrived, and we decided to start heading over to the club. And I was so glad that I waited for my friend, because as soon as we got inside, there was already a group of people in front of the door where we couldn't see our friends. And if I went in there by myself, I wouldn't have gotten the same situation where I would have been looking for them in the middle of the club, and someone would have come up and talked to me, and I would have been like, "Oh my god, leave me alone." But thank goodness that didn't happen, and eventually we found our friends sitting at the table. And after a little bit of hanging out and talking to each other, they decided to take some selfies and post on social media. Whereas I don't necessarily like taking selfies of myself, because I either get self-conscious very easily, or I end up blinking at the wrong time, and when the picture comes out, my eyes are closed. So instead, I decided to take pictures of my friends having fun. That way I can look back on these pictures and be like, good times. And then my friends decided to take a selfie with all of us, so we all sat on the same side of the table. And after taking a few pictures, I stayed sitting on the same side of the table, and I thought to myself, this is fun. I wonder what we're gonna do next. And that was when my best friend Daphne announced, I'm stuck. I can't go anywhere. And I quickly noticed that I was sitting at the end of the seat. So I got out and sat back on the other side of the table. And when Daphne was sitting across from me once again, I looked towards her and telepathically, through our minds, told her, "I'm so sorry for being awkward." Then I quickly thought to myself, why am I so awkward? You need to stop it right now. It's okay, just act cool. They won't notice a difference. And that was when our friend Voltec reminded all of us that he hasn't had any magical grape juice before. And that was when our friend Andrew offered him a shot of magical grape juice. To which our friend Voltec happily agreed, because he knew he wasn't driving anywhere and he trusted us to take care of him if anything weird happened. And at first, when our friend Voltec was holding the tiny cup of magical grape juice, he was a bit hesitant because he heard that this magical grape juice could be very enchanting. However, he eventually built up the courage to start drinking magical grape juice. And that was when me and my friend started freaking out because it was his first drink. And that's when we all took out our phones to start recording and take a bunch of pictures. Oh yeah, work it, dude. Perfect. Pose just like that. Yes, perfect. Wow.
Oh,
Why'd you stop? And that was when our friend Voltec took a second shot of magical grape juice. Okay, I think that's enough for you right now. You know what? The songs have just started playing. So, did you guys want to go dance? Yeah? Okay, let's go dancing. And as we were all on the dance floor, my friends are dancing. And I was just there, trying to enjoy the music just like my friends. And this was a little difficult for me because personally, as I was looking at the other strangers in the club with us, they were not like our group of friends where we would dress in all black, almost like a gothic style. And I felt that if I did my dance in front of these people, then they would judge me, and I did not want that. So I was just there on the dance floor with my friends, dancing very stiffly to the music.
What are you doing?
I am dancing. Leave me alone. And I will admit that some of my friends tried to help me loosen up and dance a little bit more. However, as soon as they let go of me, I went back to my stiff body movements. And one of those reasons is because as I looked to the side, I noticed that some of the other people in the club were dancing in a very interesting way. And at the time, this was very new to me, so I was I don't know how to feel about this. However, I tried my best just to pay attention to my friends and my best friend because it was her birthday, and this made me feel a lot better as some of my friends' dance moves were getting a little goofy, making me laugh. And as we were dancing, I started to notice that it was getting a little warm. Therefore, I was constantly contemplating, should I take my jacket off or should I leave it on? That thought still haunted me, where I was thinking, well, if I did take off my jacket, what if the other people started judging me because I was wearing all black? And then I look over at my friend Andrew, who's wearing a beautiful dress and black heels. So then I was like, oh, well, maybe it's okay, but I don't know when I should take off my jacket. I don't know if it's going to be awkward taking off the jacket while we're dancing, or if I should wait until we go sit back down. I'm not sure. So therefore, I just decided to leave it on and just deal with the heat. I'm melting! And then that was when I noticed something very awkward. So pretty much throughout the time that I was there at the club, I kept my raincoat on. And my raincoat pretty much covered most of my outfit, where you can barely see my skirt. And yeah, you would probably think, oh, that's kind of cute. That shouldn't really matter. But this raincoat was one of those big raincoats. So it didn't really match my outfit completely. And by the way, no one else in the club, not even my friends, were wearing a jacket like me, which was probably making me stand out a little more than I probably should have, and that was making me feel a little nervous as well. And at some point as we were dancing, Daphne needed to use the restroom, and she wanted me to go with her. So when we went in there, I was waiting for her near the sinks. And that was when this lady came up to me as she was washing her hands, and she turned to me with a smile, and she asked me, "May I ask how old you are?" "Oh, I'm 22. I'm sorry?" "I said I'm 22. I'm 22. Okay, I was just curious, that's all. And as she left the restroom, I realized that as me and my friends were dancing on the dance floor earlier, I noticed that a lot of the other people were staring at me. And at the time, I didn't know why until now. And as me and Daphne walked back to the dance floor to continue dancing with our friends, some of the strangers were staring at me once again. And I noticed this a lot more now because of what the lady asked me in the bathroom. So in my head, I'm just there saying, I am 22 years old. I'm allowed to be here. It is okay. Stop staring at me like I am a lost child. And of course, none of this stopped anytime soon, so I just tried to ignore it and have fun with my friends. And then towards the end of the night, me and my friend Volteg got tired, so we decided to sit on the couches in the back. While we talked for a little bit as he was charging his phone, Andrew and his friend came over to the couch across from us. And as Andrew's friend Fox continued to take off Andrew's heels to replace them with sandals, we all sat there for a second talking to each other when Andrew looked down at his feet and asked,
"Where's my heels at?"
And me and Volteg started laughing our butts off because we knew that his friend Fox took off his heels to replace them with sandals, but Andrew didn't know that because earlier Andrew drank a lot of magical grape juice, so he was generally confused. And let's just say, as me and my group of friends talk about this day and this moment when Andrew was wondering where his shoes went, Andrew does not remember any of that. I will admit that personally, I did have a lot of fun that night, as it was one of the first times I have been at a club for the whole night with my friends. Hey, if you're interested, you can send your fan art to my Gmail right here, and I would gladly present it right here. That way I can fangirl about all of your wonderful art. So that way I can scream it internally and say, ah, it's so beautiful. Well, there's always a first time for everything.